Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the debut episode of the King's Court. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I must say this on the debut episode because I'm trying something new. I want to be more involved in the sports world around me. I want to hear feedback from you people. I'm going to have all sorts of sports on this show, even sports entertainment. Mostly NBA, UFC, WWE. Those are going to be the core. I'm also going to try to branch out. I'm going to try to get into hockey. I'm going to try to get into football. I'm not too big into football, but I'm going to try. So first, we're going to start on NBA. We're going to see how that works out. Maybe I'll bring people in. Maybe I'll have guests. I'll try to get things going, and I'm going to make this a YouCast. And what that means is that this is a YouTube podcast. It comes out once a week, every Thursday, for your listening pleasure. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get to it. NBA news and notes. Here we go. Let me sound official here. Let me find some paper. I can shuffle them. I can make sure I sound all official. But to be totally honest, I've wrote these down in a notepad thing on my computer. So I guess I could. Oh, that's not good. I probably shouldn't have done that. I don't know what I did. Oh well, here we go. Notes on the NBA. So here we go. A quote for you. NBA analyst said this: Michael Jordan on his worst day is 10 times better than Kobe Bryant. What? Michael Jordan on his worst day is 10 times better than Kobe Bryant. So Michael Jordan, okay, has had the worst day of his life. He's walking. Alright, this is back in 89, walking to the Chicago Bulls arena, gets jumped, they cut off his legs, they cut off his arms, they take his tongue. It's his worst day of his life, ever. Worst day of his life. And he's still 10 times better than Kobe Bryant. That doesn't make any sort of sense, sir. Oh, what a crazy statement. I don't really know why he said that. It's a very interesting thing. And as you want to, go ahead and in the comments below, leave a comment about what you want to talk about. And I'll probably discuss it a little further with you in the comments below. Or if, hey, this is a debut episode, give me some feedback. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Do all that sorts of fun stuff. Because, hey, feedback is the best thing. But I'm going to give this guy some feedback. What does he mean by Michael Jordan is on his worst day is 10 times better than Kobe Bryant? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, Kobe Bryant just passed Michael Jordan on the total career points board. So, I mean, I don't know. Kobe Bryant is a better scorer now. The facts show that. And Kobe Bryant's going to be around probably for 3 more seasons, I would assume. So, I don't know. I just don't think that Kobe Bryant would retire this early. I think he has one more gasp in him. He's got one more gasp. And we're going to talk a little bit about how well he's doing, even in the shitty situation that he's in. And we'll talk about that a little later on. But I don't know. That quote, that's probably quote of the week. Just quote of the week on today's King's Court podcast, or YouCast. But unbelievable statement. I just cannot believe that is what he said. Oh, well, hey, opinions are just that, opinions. I think Kobe Bryant's a hell of a player. I totally congratulate him on passing Michael Jordan in total career points. That's awesome. That is really cool. It was a special moment. It was good to see. It was, and I'm a Utah Jazz fan, So me and Kobe Bryant and the Lakers in general don't get along. But what a great moment in sports, and I don't know, it's just a horrible comment. Anywho, Kobe Bryant did pass Michael Jordan in total career points, and congratulations to him. Second piece of news here, Jabari Parker. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Jabari Parker out for the season, torn ACL in his left knee. Jabari Parker, come on, man. What are you doing? What are you doing, Parker? You're supposed to be my guy. Little story about Jabari Parker. my fantasy league, alright? I'm like maybe pick, what is this, 6 maybe, I think? I don't remember exactly where he was in the draft. But he was about middle-ranged. And he's a rookie. No one really knows how he's going to fare, especially in Milwaukee. Is he going to be the only point scorer? Is he going to have a total bust of a season? Or is he going to tear his ACL in his left knee? Funny story about it. I drafted him. I believed in Jabari Parker. And he's done marginally well. He has sat on my bench when he needed to, because he hasn't really been that all-star of the year that I thought he could have been. He could have been the Rookie of the Year. But with this ACL injury, I think it's out of the question for him. So he's out, and I had to trade him, and I gave him away for Alec Burks on the Jazz. Oh, Parker. Parker is out. That's too bad. That's too bad. Torn ACL, he's probably out for the season. But I think it's a learning experience. I think it's actually a good thing for him. I think Blake Griffin had a similar type of injury where he was out for the majority of the season. And he came back the next season and crushed it. We're seeing Anthony Davis, is his second or third year. He's crushing it right now. So, sophomore year and a year after that, it seems when people mature, you don't really see rookies too often dominate the first year they're there. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be a good learning experience for Jabari Parker. And hey, next year, if you're healthy, pal, I'd welcome you back on my fantasy league if the situation arises. Hopefully you don't become another Derrick Rose, because my friend drafted Derrick Rose. Titan Panda drafted Derrick Rose, and it's just been a tumultuous season. Ups and downs, what a roller coaster. I would not want him on my team. So yeah, I picked up Manu Ginobili 2 weeks ago, and then I dropped him last week, I think, because he was in and out, and I just can't take the roller coaster. Next piece of news: trade rumors for Rajon Rondo. He has had talks with Dallas, LA, Houston, Sacramento, New York. All these cities are looking for some Rondo, and I think the best one, the most credible one, is a first-round draft pick and Brandon Wright for Rajon Rondo with the Dallas Mavericks. And this is why. Is another reason why I really like the Mavericks, because the general manager over there, the inventor guy, the cool, hip general manager, the owner, I guess his name escapes me, but he likes to pamper his stars. He likes to pamper his players. He's got a great new locker room. He pampers his players up real nice. He's a fan of the game. I'm sure he knows who Rondo is. And he will get this job done. He will trade and get Rondo if he really wants Rondo. If he wants Rondo, he'll get Rondo. But is it a good trade? I don't watch too much Dallas Mavericks. As a Jazz fan, the only people we hate more than the Lakers are anybody from Texas, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. We do not like those teams, so I don't watch too much. I don't really know a whole lot about Brandon Wright, but you're getting a first-round pick and Brandon Wright, who looks to be, like, I think he's a center. He sounds like a big dude. For Rajon Rondo, I don't think that's a bad trade. I don't think it's a bad trade at all. Mavericks doing marginally well this season. They won the championship a couple years back. I think that they can afford to do that. Rajon Rondo still has some years on him, and I think that would even out their team a little more. So I think it's a good trade. I think it's a great trade, and I think if the owner of the Mavericks wants it to happen, Mark Cuban, there it is, there's his name, Mark Cuban, if he wants it to happen, he'll make it happen. So definitely I would assume that that trade will get done, and probably very similar to a first-round draft pick in Brandon Wright for Rajon Rondo. Alright, so here we go. News and notes over. This came up quite a bit. I'm a huge fan of Inside the NBA, with Charles Barkley, Kenny the Jet Smith, Shaquille O'Neal, the white dude. I feel so horrible. I still feel so horrible for him every time I watch that show. It's like, oh man. I mean, like, all these people, they've won championships, they're legends, they're known for things, and then there's you, and you're just the analyst. And that's a shame. But anyway, so Inside the NBA, they brought this up. And I thought it was a little early to be bringing this up, but they brought it up anyway. Early MVP picks, and I did some research. I wanted to figure out who the picks could be and who they would be. And I've got my top 5 here. My top 5, number 1, James Harden. James Harden has 26.9 points per game right now. He's sitting at 42% shooting, and his team is 19-5, a respectable record for the Houston Rockets. Number 2, I'm going to go early MVP, Stephen Curry. 23.5 points, 47.9% field goal shooting, a little higher than Harden's, and his team is at a dominant 21-3. Number 3, LeBron James, 25.4 points, 49.4%, a very high field goal percentage. His team 14-10, and they've come back from their disappointing, or I guess underwhelming beginning of the season. So LeBron James leading that team back, and with Kyrie Irving injuring his knee and maybe going to be suffering from minutes for the next couple of games or so, it would make sense that LeBron James might take over the scoring load a little more than he is now, so he might get a bump up. Number 4, Blake Griffin, 22.8 points, a little low on the point scale, but 48.9% field goal shooting. His team is 18-7. He's an explosive player, and I think this year with the Lakers out of it, I just don't think the Lakers are going to amount to anything this season. And with the West kind of, in this weird funk where almost any team can win. I mean, think about it. You've got if the Pelicans can make it, you've got the Pelicans who have a pretty big team. You're looking at Golden State, who's got an impeccable record. They'll most definitely make the playoffs. Houston, who has Harden and Dwight Howard, they're doing great. Dallas is doing fine. You've got Portland up there making a name for themselves. It's a very good West Conference. And this season, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some huge upsets. Because it just makes sense. I mean, these teams, they're beating each other left and right. And it's going to be interesting. I think Oklahoma City as well is starting to rise back up the ranks. They're starting to rise out of the ashes of the non-Kevin Durant era in the early part of this season. Kevin Durant doing well as well. So Blake Griffin could be MVP if he makes his team get all the way to the finals. I could absolutely see that happening. It is still early on, so he is a low... he's number 4 on my top 5, but number 5 on my top 5 has got to go to Anthony Davis. I watched the Jazz play the New Orleans Pelicans, and wow, this dude is explosive. This dude is insane. Like, you give him the ball, and he's going to make it. That's how insanely accurate he is with his shots. He's a very skilled, talented defender, very skilled, talented point maker and playmaker. This guy can do it all, and he has really made a brand for himself. The brow is absolutely tearing it up. He's got 24.6%, 24.6 points per game, 58.3 shooting. 58.3 shooting is a very, very, very high field goal percentage, probably the best in the league. I should double check that. His team record is 12-12, so that's the only thing holding him back is his team going to be able to make it through the playoffs long enough for him to capture that MVP title. It's going to be a very interesting second half of this season. I mean, we're really almost halfway through. Well, we're a quarter of the way for sure, but we're nearing the halfway point. So it's going to be a really interesting other half of the season, I guess I'll say, to watch the MVPs. Honorable mentions, LaMarcus Aldridge, Klay Thompson, the other three-brother Kevin Durant. Wow, Kevin Durant come back. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about Kevin Durant later. But Kevin Durant, man, Oklahoma City on a 7-game win streak, but they're about to run into a buzzsaw Golden State Warriors tomorrow. Wow, that's going to be a great game, and I might watch that. Kevin Durant is back. He's playing well, and he's lifting his team to a 7-game win streak. That's awesome. So those are my honorable mentions. Kobe and Wade are also in the top 10 for points and overall players, and I'm not going to give it to Kobe this year. I'm not going to give it to Wade either. Kobe mostly because his team has no chance of even making the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make it this year. I think they're going to just be a terrible team. And Kobe, I don't know. I kind of want to see Kobe play it safe this year maybe lower himself down off the MVP candidacy list, because I don't want him to overdo it and get another horrible injury and then just retire. I'd rather see him play the next 3 or 4 seasons, and maybe he will trade, or maybe he will make moves from the LA organization and actually get his team to a respectable position, and maybe get to the playoffs, maybe get to the finals, maybe win one more championship. I think that would be really cool for Kobe Bryant. Even though he's one of my most hated NBA players because I'm a Utah Jazz fan. And I'm not going to give it to Wade either. Chris Bosh is injured out right now. The Heat have been stripped of their, I don't want to say key players, but of course LeBron is a key player. But, I mean, people like Ray Allen, Beasley, they're gone now. They're their, not key players, what is the word I'm thinking? Specialty players, I guess, where they all have a job to do. And now it's just kind of like the LA Lakers, where it's just people playing basketball. Oh, and by the way, you've got Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade on your team. It's just like, you've got to have something else, and there's nothing else there. So I'm going to say that Dwayne Wade is also not going to win MVP. Also, Dwayne Wade's getting old, and I think his energy is going to filter out by the end of the season. So, I don't know, there's not much else to talk about, so I'm going to go to my personal favorite part of the week, where I give out my awards and my, I guess, punishments, really. Ginger Kings Royals and Ginger Kings Jesters, brought to you by me this time. I don't have any investors, I don't have any sponsors, but that would be pretty cool. So, hey, if you want to sponsor someone, I'll plug your stuff. Anywho, first Royal on the list, the Memphis Grizzlies. They're up to a 6-game win streak. They've got Michael Conley, they've got Randolph Gasol. They're a big, big team, and they remind me of the Pacers a couple years ago, who were huge and who really impressed. The Pacers last year, who really impressed. They're just a big team, and I think that they have the ability to go far in the playoffs. But the question with them is, will they be able to win the championship? That is the question. They've got a rather inexperienced team when it comes to like championships and stuff, but they've got a big team. They're doing well. They've got, I mean, Randolph and Gasol are a great center and power forward combo. And I mean, I've got Zachary Randolph on my fantasy team, and I'm so happy that I was convinced to draft him, because I was going to draft him or Pau Gasol on the Bulls, and yeah, I chose the right choice, I think, there. Yeah, so the Memphis Grizzlies get my first ever Royal Award, and there's going to be 3 each. So let's go on to Jester. Jester number 1, Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, how long can Kobe deal with carrying this team? I mean, Kobe had the outburst earlier saying his team was, quote, soft as Charmin. That's a toilet paper brand. I mean, what is this really going to bubble down to with Kobe Bryant? Is he going to be able to shape this team up and maybe get a respectable win-loss record? I don't believe that they'll make the playoffs, not with how well the West is doing this year. And even if they did, I don't think they'd make it past the first round. So I don't think anything's going to come out of that. I don't think he's going to win MVP. So what is he going to do at the end of this season? Is he going to, I don't know, force out a coach? Is he going to bring people in? Is he going to trade? What is he going to do? Is he going to go to free agency? What is Kobe Bryant going to do with this team to make them turn it around? That's going to be interesting to watch, and it's kind of a sad state. I was watching them play. Oh God, who were they playing? Maybe it was Memphis that they were playing. I don't really remember, but they were playing, and it was on ESPN, and they were down so much. They were down by like 30 points or something like that, and it was just embarrassing. Kobe Bryant would make a play, he'd do it himself, he'd score 2 points, and then the other team would just come back immediately, boom, score. It was really sad. What a sad state for the former back-to-back champion Lakers. Wow, what a legacy, and it's just really interesting that the city of LA has flip-flopped with the Clippers on top now. It's just so weird to live in a time like that. This is the first time that that's happened to me. Very strange. Alright, so Royal number 2, Kevin Durant. This guy, he's only played in 8 games this season. He is shooting 50.4% and averaging 21.5 points per game. I think he's going to quickly gain on this MVP championship. He's going to want it. He's going to want it really bad. Didn't he win it last year? I wasn't really following it too much in depth. I've just started it now. But Kevin Durant is impressive, man. And I really want to watch that game tomorrow when they face the Golden State Warriors, because that's an almost unbeatable team in the Golden State Warriors facing rising from the ashes Oklahoma City. So I want to see that game tomorrow, and I think Kevin Durant's going to make a really strong claim for MVP by the end of the season. He's not in the top 5 now, but he definitely can be by season's end. All right, Jester, number 2, Philadelphia 76ers. I looked up their record. Good God, they are on a 4-game losing streak. They haven't won a game at home. They are winless at home. It's like 0-17. It's atrocious. It's disgusting. They nearly broke their all-time losing record for their team. They lost 18 straight. I remember that game where they won. I was really mad. I remember hearing about it because I wanted them to break it. I mean, I'm a fan of the Oakland Raiders, right? And I don't know our record now. I've dropped off because I no longer care. But we didn't win one game this year. It was just 0-9 or something like that. And I was so cheering for them to just go a losing season, a pure losing season, fire everybody, release all the players, just draft young kids, and start the rebuild, because that's just what I want as a fan. So as a 76ers fan, at the point that I'm at like 0-15, I'm going to go, you know what? We have a real shot at breaking this all-time losing record. Let's go for it. Let's go for it, team. And then let's come back and let's whoop some ass. Because then you maybe you get your coach fired. Maybe your GM trades somebody to shake things up. Maybe you trade away future picks for a current star. Maybe you try to do something like that to shake up the team. And then you have this crazy comeback. I mean, because the East is really, if you get back to even, that's a possibility. So all you really have to do at that point is go 40 for 20, right? 40 for 20. You have to win 66% of the rest of your games. And then you come back, and suddenly you're in the playoffs. Oh, suddenly you're in the playoffs. Your team is doing better. What a comeback story that would be. Because that would be just awesome. You can't do that in the NFL when you're 0-9. But when you're 0-15 in the NBA, there's a small chance that you could do that. And for a long time there, I was just cheering for them to go 0-19. So that's a shame that they didn't. All right, final Royal of the night here, Anthony Davis. All right, so like I said, I watched him play against my Jazz, and I was amazed. This dude's amazing. This dude's awesome. I don't know how they're not giving him the ball more often. I watched the game, and he didn't really take many shots in the beginning 3 quarters, but in the 4th quarter, he just blew up. This guy went nuts. Astounding field goal percentage, top runner for the MVP, and I think the Brow is making a name for himself. He could be the next Shaquille O'Neal in notoriety, if you know what I mean. Like, he could be the next guy where you go, oh, I know who that guy is. He's the Brow. He's Anthony Davis. So he's really making a brand for himself, and that's really cool. Final Jester of the night, Jabari Parker. Tore his ACL in his left knee, and he was on my fantasy team. You busted my fantasy team, Jabari Parker. I want you back. I want you back. I want you healthy because I believed in you. I drafted you for a reason, and that's why you get my 3rd Jester of the night, because you broke my heart, Jabari Parker. You broke my heart. You kind of broke my fantasy team, and I had to trade out for Alec Burks. Why would you do that? Alec Burks isn't a bad pick, though. I'm glad he was there. He raised me up when I was falling because of Jabari Parker. So I just want to say, there you go. That's it. NBA done. So here's the deal. This is my debut episode of King's Court. I kind of want to follow the same core lineup of how I do things. So, for instance, if Saturday I do a UFC episode, I want to do news and notes, okay? I want to do maybe some predictions or evaluations of some of the fights that maybe I watched over the weekend or something. And then I want to do Royals and Jesters. That's what I would like to do. So, do you think the lineup was a good lineup? If you're listening here at the end of the episode, debut episode of the King's Court YouCast on YouTube, give me some feedback. Go ahead and put it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And I don't know. Just feedback. Any type of feedback's good feedback, I think. I'm going to try to keep these to under 30 minutes. A short podcast. Usually podcasts are like an hour. Kind of average type thing. So yeah, I mean 26 to 30 minutes. I'm at 26 now, which isn't bad. 26, 30 minutes. So yeah, just give me feedback. I want to thank you if you did listen to it all the way through, for watching it, for listening to it, for reacting to it, for commenting, for liking, for favoriting, for doing what you do as the fans. I want to thank you for that. Also, if there's any sponsors, you can go ahead and message me in the comments below and I will get back to you. And for the debut episode of NBA King's Court Edition, Derek D. Ginger King. Check now.